Today I thought it might be a great idea to talk about how to rehab a plant. Is your plant sad? Does he need some help? So let's talk about how to rehab a plant. Now obviously the first step in rehabbing a plant is identifying the problem. The problem might not be so easy to identify, and it might be a multiple situation where you have a lot of problems. So I have this monstera, I believe it is an Adansonii, and I think it is a laniata, but there's been a lot of debate as to what specifically a laniata is. So I believe it is, but if I'm wrong and it's not, just leave it in the comments below, but I'm pretty sure it is.
Okay, so real quick, I'm going to use this as an example because obviously it needs a little help. But I'm going to go through a quick checklist of things that you need to do in order to figure out how to rehab your plant. So the first thing you want to do is to take a quick look at your plant and research your plant and find out what the optimal conditions are for it. So as soon as you figure out exactly what type of care it needs, this will give you a better idea of where your lighting, watering, and all the care standards should be. First thing you want to do is you want to check for pests. And the best way to do that is to look at the bottoms of the leaves and find any little buggies that might be residing on there. If you see any little white spots, very similar to this, it's very possible you could have spider mites. You could also find bugs that might want to live in the little crevices of the petiole and the leaf. Depending on the plant, they might find little spots to hide in. Look in there for anything that potentially could be munching on your leaf. Sometimes pests can be so small that you can barely see them, so you really have to look with a fine-tooth comb to find what could potentially be harming your plant. It definitely looks like we have some spider mites here. Now, once you've gone through and investigated the leaves, the petioles, the stems, and you can kind of find in there if there are any pests that might be attacking your plant, then you know to treat it and you want to quarantine it for I would say quarantine for up to a week to ensure that you're not letting any of the pests you're bringing in spread to any of your other plants. Now, the next thing you're going to want to check are the roots. Now, I would typically pull the plant out of the pot to analyze the roots, but I'm not going to do that quite yet because I can't do that with one hand and hold the camera. But if you can, pull your plant out of the pot and investigate the roots and look and see if there's any type of rotting or decay, or you might find the roots are really crammed and tight and it could be in the wrong size pot, or it could be that the roots are very sparse and there's more soil that could also be affecting your plant. So you want to make sure that you have nice, healthy, white roots that are comfortably filling the pot without being too tight or too loose. Now, as you're also checking the roots, you really want to check the soil, and that's the third thing you're going to go through. You want to make sure that your soil is evenly moist or dry. You don't want your soil to be too wet or soppy because it could be potentially suffocating your plant or causing root rot. Most plants don't like to be overwatered, so you want to make sure that your soil is nice and loose and airy to allow drainage and oxygen to reach your roots.
Now the soil's not drying out fast enough. You might need to help it along by either aerating it and creating more pockets for more oxygen to get deeper into the pot, or even repotting it completely and replacing the soil.
Now, going with knowing what the care is for your plant, you want to analyze your lighting conditions and making sure that you're giving the plant adequate light. So as you are checking your plant, you can find that lighting issues might show signs on the leaves by them turning black or brown, or having too much sun might cause them burn, or having too little sun might cause the leaves to be might also cause leaves to drop or fade. You could be getting achlorotic leaves, which means that the leaves are starting to turn white as the chlorophyll breaks down from the sun being too strong. And that could also be a cause. So make sure that you're putting the plant in the correct amount of light. Now the fifth step would be, after you've analyzed all those situations and you are actually going to start taking a look at your plant, first thing you would want to do is remove any decaying matter. So as you can see, I have some leaves that are starting to completely die off. You would want to take a pair of shears and cut them off. Now some of it might just pop up as easily as that. So I would give it a loose shake and see if it might come off on its own. If not, you could easily take a pair of very clean and sterile shears and just chop off some of the parts that could be decaying. Potentially, you don't want any of this to spread to other parts of the leaf, so you might see little spots that resemble this, which could also be bacteria and could also have a little bit of fungal issues. So by removing any of those decaying matter, you could prevent that from spreading to the rest of your plant.
Now, when you come across a plant that you are rehabbing and it does have a lot of this crustiness or damage to the leaf, I don't always recommend cutting it off for some time, especially if the leaf does still have a lot of green to it, or whatever the natural leaf color may be. But if the rest of the leaf tissue is fairly healthy, it is important that you do still leave it on. If you cut back leaves that have moderate to minimal damage, you are also cutting back potential sources of energy for the plant that it needs to heal. So wait to do any trimming until you have new growth, and then as the new growth comes in, you can then shed the not so pretty leaves. But if the plant is in rehab, it needs the time to heal, and cutting it is going to cause more damage to the plant. You could potentially, and this might not be true in every case, but you could potentially causing more damage to the plant by cutting it back too much.
Now the next step would be to clean the leaves. As you can see, there is a lot of hard water stains on these leaves. The seller probably was using hose water or something to cause all the staining. And also because this has some spider mites on here, obviously I will be giving it a very thorough wash to ensure that we're getting all of those off and treat it for the pests. So now at this point, we've done all of the steps to take care of this plant, and now we're going to just leave it alone. So we're going to put it in a warm, bright spot to allow it time to heal and to adjust to the damage that we essentially did to the plant to enable it to heal. And we'll put it in a place that's going to optimize its growth to ensure that it's getting nice light, a warm spot, and water if necessary. And it's very crucial that for the next couple days we're going to leave it alone. We don't want to cause any more trauma to the plant by cutting consistently or changing its environment too much. We really want to give it time to adapt and to heal essentially. So we want to leave it alone, but it's very important that we closely monitor it because we want to ensure that we're not having any more pests or any other damage that might also be happening, and to watch it closely and make any adjustments as necessary.
Now, when rehabbing a plant, it's very crucial that you don't move your plant too often. You want to place it in a spot to allow it to acclimate. Acclimation is important because the plant might be very used to the temperature, the amount of sun it's getting, how much water and moisture it has versus the humidity, how fast it's drying out. It might be drying out faster than it did before, or maybe not as fast as it did before, and it takes time for a plant to get used to those adjustments. So you want to make sure that once you have gotten the plant home, you've treated it for pests, you've given it its adequate food, whether it be light or water, that you allow it to rest and acclimate and monitor it very closely to see if there's any changes to the plant. Now, after some time, you may notice the plant improve. You've been successful at rehabbing your plant. If you see a difference in the plant growth, you might see a difference in the plant overall appearance. You might notice the new leaves growing in differently. The new leaves could be growing in smaller, they could be growing in larger. So it's very dependent on what changes you see as to what steps you take next. I'm gonna put this down now. Gotta give it time, you gotta let it heal, you gotta let it figure out what it's going to do. But if there's anything specific that you guys are coming across that you would like help on or would like to know more about, please let me know. I usually do keep my videos very generic because I tend to put them for more inexperienced plant parents or for people who are just starting to grow plants in their home. But if you have something specific you would like to know about, let me know. I'd be happy to put more information and content out there for you. But thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!